A viewer emailed me this story that it honestly sounds like something straight out of a horror movie. And they grew up in Philadelphia during the mid 1990s, and they swear that the woman that their parents hired as a live in maid slowly became something else. Now, the viewer asked me to change everyone's name, so we're going to call them Emily, and we're going to call the maid Mrs. Vera. And Emily was only 8 years old when Mrs. Vera came to work for the family. And at first, she seemed completely normal, right? Very quiet, very polite, very kind, maybe a little reserved at first, but she cleaned the house, she cooked dinner, took care of the kids, and even helped tuck Emily into bed at night. Now, for the first few months, nothing felt unusual. Then the noises began. And almost every night around 2 or 3 in the morning, Emily would wake up to the faint sound of scratching above her bedroom ceiling. And it wasn't rats, it wasn't pipes, it sounded like fingernails dragging slowly across the old wood floor. Now, her father searched the attic twice, and pest control even came and inspected the house, and they found nothing. But the scratching continued night after night. And a few weeks later, Emily made the mistake of getting up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. And as she walked past the hallway closet, she heard whispering, and not from inside the house. She said that she could tell it was coming from the small crawl space that was hidden. It was hidden above the closet door, excuse me. And she looked just up in time to see 2 fingers slowly pull the little wood hatch closed. And she immediately ran to her parents' room screaming, and her father grabbed the flashlight and opened up the crawl space, but it was empty. The dust inside hadn't even been disturbed. Now, the next morning, Mrs. Vera showed up for breakfast with dirt packed beneath every single fingernail. And she wasn't doing any gardening the day before or the night before, so that kind of got ruled out. When Emily's mother had asked what happened to her hands, she simply just said, "Oh, the walls are older than people think." Odd. And things became stranger after that. Food would disappear from the pantry only to turn up inside of the attic. Family photographs began appearing face down all over the home. Emily started waking up with muddy footprints on her bedroom carpet that led to nowhere and pretty much came from nowhere, just there. Then one night, her father finally saw it for himself, and he woke up to the sound of whispering above his and his wife's bedroom. So he quietly climbed out of bed and he went up into the attic, and he found Mrs. Vera crouched on all fours in the darkness. She wasn't facing him, she was just facing the wall, like inches away, and her forehead was pressed up against it, and it was pressed up against the wood as she was whispering the same sentence over and over again. And she kept saying, "I'm almost ready, I'm almost ready, just a little bit longer, I'm almost ready." And when he called her name, she stopped and snapped out of it. But she didn't really turn around. Instead, her head slowly tilted sideways until it was like almost resting completely on her shoulder. And then she would give this weird laugh, not loudly, just like enough for him to hear, like a little cackle. Now, the next morning, Emily's parents told her that she couldn't work for the family anymore. They were concerned, and they offered to help her pay for a doctor or a psychiatric treatment because whatever was happening, they believed that she needed some serious help and she needed it fast. Mrs. Vera didn't cry, she didn't argue. She simply just stood at the front door holding her one little suitcase, and she looked directly at Emily and she said, "This house knows my name and it will forever remember yours." And before leaving, she placed her hand on the front door frame and she whispered something under her breath that no one could understand. It almost sounded like it was another language. And Emily's father slammed the door immediately behind her and he changed all the locks. Now, for a while, everything seemed pretty normal again. Until 3 nights later, at around 2 in the morning, the scratching sound came back. Only now, it wasn't above the ceiling anymore. It was actually coming from inside of the walls themselves. And Emily says it continued for nearly 6 months before it suddenly stopped forever. No one had ever seen Mrs. Vera again. The family even checked in a couple months later to try to see if, how she was doing. Nothing. And years later, after both of her parents had passed away, Emily and her brother re-renovated the old Philadelphia home. And when contractors opened one of the sections up of the wall that was near the upstairs hallway, they actually found dozens of long scratches carved into the inside of the wooden beams, and mixed between them were words carved so deeply that they nearly split the wood. And every sentence was the same thing over and over: I'm almost ready, I'm almost ready. And Emily ended her email saying to me that sometimes when she can't sleep at night and she's having nightmares, she still hears scratching inside of her walls, even though she lives over 900 miles away from her childhood home. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.